You're standing at the edge of a crucial board meeting, heart racing as you prepare to present your innovative idea that could transform your department. But as you scan the room, you notice Sarah from accounting avoiding eye contact, while Tom from marketing leans back with crossed arms, his skepticism radiating across the conference table. In that moment, you realize something critical. Your brilliant proposal isn't just about facts and figures, it's about navigating the invisible web of emotions, relationships, and unspoken dynamics that truly determine success in any room. This is the moment where social dynamics and emotional intelligence make all the difference. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover the exact framework I used to transform from someone who missed these crucial social cues entirely to leading teams of hundreds and influencing decisions at the highest levels. You'll learn how to read a room in seconds, build instant rapport with anyone, and turn potential conflicts into opportunities for deeper connection. Most importantly, you'll master the art of emotional calibration, that almost magical ability to sense what others are feeling and respond in ways that create trust, collaboration, and lasting impact. Before we dive deeper, if you're finding value in this audiobook and want more insightful content like this, be sure to follow and subscribe. Your support means the world to us. Now let's continue. The truth about social dynamics is that it operates like an invisible operating system running beneath every human interaction. Most people go through life completely unaware of this underlying code, wondering why some conversations flow effortlessly while others feel like pushing a boulder uphill. But once you understand the principles we're about to explore, you'll gain what I call social X-ray vision. The ability to see and influence these hidden forces that shape every relationship, every decision, and every outcome in your life. Let me share a story that perfectly illustrates this point. 5 years ago, I watched two equally qualified candidates interview for a senior position at a Fortune 500 company. On paper, they were virtually identical, same credentials, similar experience, comparable technical skills. But within 10 minutes of their respective interviews, it was clear who would get the job. The first candidate rattled off impressive achievements, but failed to notice the interviewer's subtle signs of disengagement. The second candidate, however, picked up on the interviewer's passion for community service, mentioned briefly in passing, and spent a few moments connecting on that shared value before diving into qualifications. That small moment of emotional intelligence created a bond that technical expertise alone could never forge. This is the power of what we're about to explore together. Social dynamics and emotional intelligence aren't just soft skills. They're the foundation upon which all human achievement is built. Consider this. Studies from Harvard Business School show that 85% of professional success comes not from technical knowledge, but from the ability to navigate social situations effectively. The most successful CEOs, the most influential leaders, the most beloved public figures, they all share this common trait of exceptional social and emotional mastery. But here's what most people get wrong about emotional intelligence. They think it's about being nice or avoiding conflict. Nothing could be further from the truth. True emotional intelligence is about understanding the complex interplay of human emotions and using that understanding to create better outcomes for everyone involved. Sometimes that means having difficult conversations. Sometimes it means standing firm in the face of opposition, but it always means acting from a place of awareness rather than reactivity. Let's start with a fundamental principle that will transform how you see every interaction, the emotional echo effect. Every emotion you express creates a ripple that influences the emotional state of those around you. When you walk into a room feeling anxious, that anxiety spreads like an invisible contagion. When you radiate confidence and warmth, others naturally mirror those feelings back to you. This isn't just theory. Neuroscience has shown that our mirror neurons literally cause us to feel what we observe in others. Understanding this principle gives you tremendous power. By consciously choosing your emotional state, you can influence the entire dynamic of any situation. But this requires developing what I call emotional sovereignty, the ability to regulate your own emotions regardless of external circumstances. This doesn't mean suppressing feelings, but rather developing the capacity to feel them fully while choosing how to express them. Think about the last time you were in a high-stakes situation where emotions ran hot. Maybe it was a family disagreement, a tense negotiation, or a critical performance review. How did you handle the emotional pressure? Most people fall into one of two traps. They either explode with uncontrolled emotion or shut down completely. But there's a third way, the path of emotional intelligence, where you remain present, aware, and responsive rather than reactive. This brings us to the first major skill we need to develop: emotional awareness. Most people walk through life in a state of emotional autopilot, unaware of what they're feeling or why. But awareness is the foundation of all emotional intelligence. You can't manage what you can't recognize. The good news is that emotional awareness is like a muscle. It gets stronger with practice. Here's a powerful exercise to build this skill. Throughout your day, set a timer to go off every hour. When it does. Pause for 30 seconds and ask yourself 3 questions. What am I feeling right now? Where do I feel it in my body? What triggered this emotion? This simple practice will dramatically increase your emotional vocabulary and sensitivity. But awareness alone isn't enough. The next level is understanding the emotions of others, what we call empathic accuracy. This is where social dynamics really comes into play. Every person you interact with is constantly broadcasting emotional signals through their facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, and choice of words. Learning to read these signals accurately is like developing a superpower in human interaction. Consider the micro-expressions that flash across someone's face for just a fraction of a second. That slight tightening around the eyes when they hear something they disagree with. The almost imperceptible lean forward when they're genuinely interested. The subtle shift in breathing pattern when they feel uncomfortable. These are the tells that reveal what's really going on beneath the surface of polite conversation. But here's the key insight that separates true masters of social dynamics from everyone else. It's not enough to just read these signals, you must respond to them in real time. This is what I call dynamic calibration. It's the ability to adjust your approach moment by moment based on the feedback you're receiving. Too many people stick rigidly to their planned script, missing countless opportunities to create deeper connection and influence. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you're presenting a new idea to your team. As you speak, you notice one colleague nodding enthusiastically, while another furrows their brow in confusion. The amateur presenter plows ahead with their prepared remarks. The socially intelligent presenter pauses, addresses the confusion directly, and ensures everyone is on the same page before continuing. This simple adjustment can mean the difference between buy-in and resistance. This brings us to one of the most powerful concepts in social dynamics, the principle of emotional contagion. Emotions spread between people like viruses, and you can become either a super spreader of positive energy or a source of negativity that brings everyone down. The choice is yours, but it requires conscious effort and skill to master. Think about the most charismatic person you know. What makes them so magnetic? It's not just their words or ideas, it's their ability to make others feel good in their presence. They've mastered the art of emotional uplift, consistently leaving people feeling better than they found them. This isn't about fake positivity or manipulation. It's about genuinely caring for others' emotional well-being and having the skills to support it. Now let's dive into one of the most challenging aspects of social dynamics: navigating conflict. Most people approach conflict with a win-lose mentality, but emotionally intelligent individuals understand that the goal isn't to win, it's to find solutions that preserve relationships while addressing legitimate concerns. This requires a fundamental shift in perspective. When conflict arises, our primitive brain triggers the fight-or-flight response, flooding our system with stress hormones that impair rational thinking. The key is to recognize this physiological reaction and engage techniques to calm your nervous system before responding. Deep breathing, mental reframing, and strategic pauses can help you stay centered when emotions run high. But here's what really separates masters of social dynamics. They don't just manage conflict, they transform it into opportunity. Every disagreement contains the seeds of deeper understanding if approached with curiosity rather than defensiveness. Instead of asking, How can I prove I'm right, they ask. What can I learn from this perspective? This leads us to the concept of emotional aikido, using the energy of conflict to create positive momentum. Just as the martial art of aikido redirects an opponent's force rather than meeting it head-on, emotional aikido involves acknowledging others' emotions and concerns while gently guiding the interaction toward constructive outcomes. For example, when someone criticizes your work, instead of immediately defending yourself, you might say, "I can see this really matters to you. Help me understand what specifically isn't working for you." This approach disarms defensiveness and opens the door to genuine problem-solving. Now let's explore the art of building instant rapport, one of the most valuable skills in social dynamics. Rapport isn't about mimicking someone's body language or using manipulative techniques. True rapport comes from genuine interest and the ability to find common ground quickly. The secret lies in what I call the universal connection points. Every person, regardless of background or status, cares about certain fundamental things: their values, their challenges, their aspirations, and their need to feel understood. When you tap into these universal points authentically, barriers dissolve and connections form naturally. Here's a powerful technique for building rapport: the three-level listening approach. Level 1 is listening to the words being said. Level 2 is listening to the emotions behind the words. Level 3 is listening for the deeper needs and values driving those emotions. When you respond to all three levels, people feel truly heard and understood. But rapport isn't just about individual interactions. It's about building a network of authentic relationships that support and amplify your influence. This is where social capital comes into play. Every positive interaction you have is like making a deposit in an emotional bank account. Over time, these deposits compound, creating a reservoir of goodwill that you can draw upon when needed. Think about the most successful people you know. They don't just have skills, they have relationships. They've invested time and energy in building genuine connections that create opportunities, provide support, and amplify their impact. This isn't networking in the traditional sense. It's relationship architecture. The key to building social capital is consistency and authenticity. It's about showing up for people even when you don't need anything from them. It's about remembering the details that matter to others. It's about being generous with your time, attention, and resources. These investments pay dividends far beyond what most people imagine. Now let's talk about influence, perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of social dynamics. True influence isn't about manipulation or coercion. It's about creating alignment between your goals and others' interests. When you master this alignment, resistance melts away and collaboration flows naturally. The foundation of influence is trust, and trust is built through consistency between words and actions. People don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. This is why emotional intelligence is so crucial to influence. When your emotional expressions align with your message, people sense authenticity and respond accordingly. But influence also requires understanding the psychology of decision-making. People make decisions emotionally and justify them rationally. If you want to influence outcomes, you must speak to both the heart and the mind. This means crafting messages that resonate emotionally while providing logical support for the desired action. One of the most powerful influence techniques is what I call emotional framing. How you frame a situation determines how others perceive and respond to it. For example, instead of presenting a change as a loss of familiar routines, frame it as an opportunity for growth and innovation. The facts remain the same, but the emotional response shifts dramatically. Let's explore another crucial aspect of social dynamics: the power of presence. In our hyper-connected world, the ability to be fully present with another person has become increasingly rare and therefore increasingly valuable. When you give someone your complete attention, free from distraction, you create a space where genuine connection can flourish. Presence isn't just about putting away your phone or maintaining eye contact. It's about bringing your full cognitive and emotional resources to the interaction. It's about listening not just with your ears, but with your intuition. It's about picking up on the subtle cues that reveal what's really going on beneath the surface. Here's a practical technique for developing presence: the 2-minute rule. For the first 2 minutes of any interaction, commit to being completely focused on the other person. No multitasking, no planning what you'll say next, no checking your watch. Just pure, undivided attention. This simple practice will transform the quality of your relationships. Now let's address one of the biggest challenges in social dynamics: dealing with difficult personalities. We all encounter people who seem impossible to work with: the chronic complainer, the aggressive competitor, the passive-aggressive colleague. The key is understanding that difficult behavior usually stems from unmet emotional needs. When you encounter challenging personalities, resist the urge to react defensively. Instead, become curious about what's driving their behavior. Often, the most difficult people are those who feel most threatened or insecure. By addressing their underlying concerns with empathy, you can often transform adversaries into allies. This brings us to the concept of emotional boundaries. While empathy is crucial, it's equally important to maintain healthy boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. Boundaries aren't walls. They're filters that allow positive energy in while keeping toxicity out. Learning to set and maintain these boundaries is essential for long-term success in social dynamics. Let's talk about the role of vulnerability in building strong relationships. Many people mistakenly believe that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness. In reality, appropriate vulnerability is one of the most powerful tools for creating deep connections. When you share your authentic self, including your struggles and uncertainties, you give others permission to do the same. But vulnerability must be calibrated carefully. There's a difference between authentic sharing and emotional dumping. The key is to share in a way that serves the relationship rather than seeking validation or sympathy. This requires emotional maturity and self-awareness. Now let's explore the concept of social intuition, that seemingly magical ability. Some people have to read situations and respond perfectly. While some aspects of social intuition may be innate, most of it can be developed through deliberate practice and observation. Social intuition involves pattern recognition. The more social situations you consciously observe and analyze, the better you become at recognizing patterns and predicting outcomes. It's like developing a mental database of social scenarios and appropriate responses. Here's an exercise to develop social intuition. After every significant interaction, take a few minutes to reflect on what worked, what didn't, and why. Over time, you'll develop an increasingly sophisticated understanding of social dynamics that operates almost automatically. Let's discuss the importance of emotional flexibility, the ability to adapt your emotional responses to different situations and people. Just as a skilled musician can play different genres of music, an emotionally intelligent person can modulate their emotional expression to fit the context. This doesn't mean being fake or inauthentic. Rather, it's about having a range of emotional responses available and choosing the most appropriate one for each situation. Sometimes leadership requires firm authority. Other times it calls for gentle encouragement. The key is knowing which approach serves the situation best. Now let's explore the power of emotional leadership. Whether or not you have a formal leadership role, you have the opportunity to lead emotionally in every interaction. Emotional. Leaders set the tone, model desired behaviors, and create environments where others can thrive. The foundation of emotional leadership is self-regulation. You can't lead others emotionally if you can't manage your own emotions effectively. This requires developing practices that keep you centered and balanced, even in challenging circumstances. Let's talk about the role of storytelling in social dynamics. Humans are wired for narrative. We understand and remember information better when it's presented in story form. Master communicators use stories to convey complex ideas, build emotional connections, and inspire action. But effective storytelling isn't just about crafting compelling narratives. It's about reading your audience and adjusting your story in real time based on their responses. This is where emotional intelligence and communication skills intersect powerfully. Here's a framework for powerful storytelling. Start with a relatable challenge, build tension through obstacles, and resolve with a transformation that illustrates your point. Throughout, Pay attention to your audience's emotional responses and adjust accordingly. Now let's address the digital dimension of social dynamics. In our increasingly virtual world, emotional intelligence must extend to digital communication. The challenge is that many emotional cues are lost in digital interactions, requiring us to be more intentional about conveying and interpreting emotion. In digital communication, word choice becomes even more critical. Without tone of voice or body language, your words carry the full weight of your message. This requires careful consideration of how your message might be received and interpreted. Let's explore the concept of emotional reciprocity. In healthy relationships, there's a natural give and take of emotional energy. When this reciprocity is out of balance, relationships suffer. Being aware of this dynamic helps you maintain healthier, more sustainable connections. Sometimes you'll need to invest more emotional energy into a relationship. Other times, you'll need to pull back and allow others to contribute. The key is maintaining awareness of these patterns and adjusting accordingly. Now let's discuss the importance of cultural intelligence in social dynamics. As our world becomes increasingly interconnected, the ability to navigate different cultural contexts becomes crucial. What's considered appropriate emotional expression varies significantly across cultures. Cultural intelligence involves more than just knowing cultural facts. It requires the ability to adapt your emotional expression and interpretation to different cultural contexts while maintaining authenticity. This is a sophisticated skill that develops through exposure and conscious practice. Let's talk about the role of humor in social dynamics. When used skillfully, humor can diffuse tension, build rapport, and make difficult messages more palatable. But humor is also risky. What's funny to one person may be offensive to another. The key to using humor effectively is emotional attunement. Pay careful attention to your audience's responses and be ready to adjust if your humor isn't landing. Well, self-deprecating humor is often safest as it demonstrates humility and vulnerability. Now let's explore the concept of emotional courage. Sometimes, emotional intelligence requires doing what's uncomfortable but necessary. This might mean having difficult conversations, admitting mistakes, or standing up for what's right despite social pressure. Emotional courage isn't about being fearless. It's about feeling the fear and acting anyway. It's about prioritizing long-term relationship health over short-term comfort. This is where emotional intelligence transforms from a skill into a virtue. Let's discuss the power of appreciation in social dynamics. Genuine appreciation is one of the most underutilized tools for building strong relationships. When you regularly acknowledge others' contributions and qualities, you create a positive feedback loop that strengthens bonds. But appreciation must be specific and sincere to be effective. Generic compliments have little impact. Instead, notice and acknowledge specific actions, qualities, or contributions that genuinely impress or move you. Now, let's explore the concept of emotional congruence. This is the alignment between what you feel, what you express, and what you do. When these elements are in harmony, you project authenticity and trustworthiness. When they're misaligned, people sense something is off, even if they can't pinpoint what. Developing emotional congruence requires honest self-reflection and the courage to align your actions with your values. It's about closing the gap between who you are and who you present yourself to be. Let's talk about the role of patience in social dynamics. In our fast-paced world, the ability to be patient with others' emotional processes is increasingly rare and valuable. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply create space for others to process their emotions without rushing to fix or change them. This doesn't mean being passive or disengaged. Rather, it's about providing supportive presence while allowing others to move through their emotional journey at their own pace. Now, let's discuss the importance of repair in relationships. No matter how emotionally intelligent you are, you'll sometimes make mistakes that damage relationships. The ability to repair these rifts effectively is crucial for long-term relationship success. Effective repair involves taking responsibility for your part in the problem, expressing genuine remorse, and taking concrete steps to prevent similar issues in the future. It's not just about saying sorry, it's about demonstrating change through action. Let's explore the concept of emotional range. Just as athletes develop physical range of motion, emotionally intelligent people develop emotional range, the ability to experience and express a full spectrum of emotions appropriately. Many people limit themselves to a narrow emotional range, either due to cultural conditioning or personal fears. Expanding your emotional range increases your capacity for connection and influence. Now let's talk about the power of silence in social dynamics. Sometimes the most powerful communication happens in the spaces between words. Knowing when to be silent, to allow others to reflect, to create dramatic emphasis, or to demonstrate respect is a sophisticated social skill. Silence can be uncomfortable for many people, leading them to fill every gap with words. But mastering strategic silence gives you a powerful tool for deepening conversations and creating space for insight. Let's discuss the role of timing in emotional intelligence. Knowing not just what to say or do, but when to say or do it, is crucial. The kiheo, same message delivered at different times, can have dramatically different impacts. Developing good timing requires patience and attunement to others' emotional states. Sometimes the best action is to wait for the right moment rather than forcing an interaction prematurely. Now let's explore the concept of emotional ecology. Every social environment has its own emotional ecosystem, patterns of interaction, unspoken rules, and collective emotional states. Understanding and working with these ecosystems is key to effective social navigation. When entering a new social environment, take time to observe the emotional ecology before trying to influence it. Notice who sets the emotional tone, what behaviors are rewarded or discouraged, and how emotions flow through the group. Let's talk about the importance of consistency in building trust. Trust is built through countless small interactions over time. Each interaction either adds to or subtracts from your trust account. Consistency in your emotional responses and behaviors is crucial for building lasting trust. This doesn't mean being rigid or predictable. Rather, it's about being reliably authentic, ensuring that people know what to expect from you in terms of values and character, even as your specific responses may vary. Now, let's discuss the power of questions in social dynamics. Well-crafted. Questions can unlock insights, deepen relationships, and guide conversations in productive directions. The art is in asking questions that invite reflection and sharing rather than defensiveness. Open-ended questions that explore emotions, motivations, and perspectives are particularly powerful. Instead of asking, "Did you like it?" try, "What was that experience like for you?" The quality of your questions determines the quality of your conversations. Let's explore the concept of emotional presence. This goes beyond physical presence to include being emotionally available and responsive. When you're emotionally present, others feel seen, heard, and valued. Developing emotional presence requires managing your own internal distractions, worries, judgments, and preoccupations, so you can fully engage with others. It's a skill that improves with practice and intention. Now let's talk about the role of gratitude in social dynamics. Gratitude isn't just a feeling. It's a powerful social force that strengthens relationships and creates positive spirals of interaction. When expressed genuinely, gratitude makes others feel valued and motivates continued positive behavior. But gratitude must be specific and authentic to be effective. Generic thanks have little impact. Instead, acknowledge specific actions or qualities that you genuinely appreciate. Let's discuss the importance of emotional regulation in high-stakes situations. When pressure is high, emotional intelligence becomes even more crucial. The ability to stay calm and think clearly under stress is what separates exceptional performers from average ones. Developing this capability requires practice under progressively challenging conditions. Start with low-stakes situations and gradually work up to more demanding ones, building your emotional resilience along the way. Now, let's explore the concept of social calibration. This is the ability to adjust your behavior based on subtle social feedback. It's like having a social thermostat that helps you maintain the optimal temperature in any interaction. Social calibration requires acute awareness of others' responses and the flexibility to adjust your approach accordingly. It's about finding the sweet spot between being true to yourself and being responsive to others' needs. Let's talk about the power of acknowledgement in social dynamics. Simply acknowledging others' perspectives, feelings, or contributions can dramatically improve relationships. Acknowledgement doesn't mean agreement, it means recognition. When people feel acknowledged, they become more open to dialogue and collaboration. This simple act can transform potential conflicts into productive conversations. Now, let's discuss the role of authenticity in emotional intelligence. There's sometimes a misconception that emotional intelligence means hiding your true feelings or manipulating others. Nothing could be further from the truth. True emotional intelligence involves being authentic, while also being skillful in how you express that authenticity. It's about finding ways to be true to yourself, while also considering others' needs and perspectives. Let's explore the concept of emotional agility. This is the ability to navigate complex emotional situations with grace and effectiveness. It involves being flexible in your responses while maintaining your core values and objectives. Emotional agility requires practice in shifting between different emotional states as situations demand. It's like being an emotional athlete, able to perform different moves as the game requires. Now let's talk about the importance of recovery in social dynamics. Just as athletes need recovery time, socially intelligent people recognize the need for emotional recovery after intense interactions. This might involve solitude, engaging in restorative activities, or processing experiences with trusted friends. Understanding your own recovery needs helps you maintain long-term social effectiveness. Let's discuss the power of perspective-taking in social dynamics. The ability to see situations from others' viewpoints is fundamental to emotional intelligence. It's not about agreeing with every perspective, but understanding where others are coming from. Developing this skill requires temporarily setting aside your own viewpoint to fully explore another's. It's like trying on different pairs of glasses to see how the world looks through others' eyes. Now, let's explore the concept of emotional courage in leadership. Sometimes leadership requires making unpopular decisions or having difficult conversations. Emotional courage is what enables leaders to do what's necessary despite emotional discomfort. This doesn't mean being insensitive or harsh. Rather, it's about having the strength to act on your convictions while remaining emotionally intelligent in how you execute those actions. Let's talk about the role of celebration in social dynamics. Recognizing and celebrating successes, both big and small, creates positive emotional energy that strengthens relationships and motivates continued excellence. But celebration must be proportionate and genuine. Over-the-top praise for minor achievements can seem insincere, while failing to acknowledge significant accomplishments can be demoralizing. Now let's discuss the importance of emotional preparation. Before important interactions, emotionally intelligent people prepare not just their content, but their emotional state. They consider what emotions might arise and how they'll handle them. This preparation might involve visualization, breathing exercises, or simply taking time to center yourself. The goal is to enter important interactions from a place of emotional strength and clarity. Let's explore the concept of emotional wisdom. This goes beyond intelligence to include judgment about when and how to apply emotional skills. It's about knowing not just what you can do, but what you should do in any given situation. Emotional wisdom develops through experience and reflection. It requires learning from both successes and failures, and developing increasingly nuanced understanding of human nature. Now let's talk about the power of forgiveness in social dynamics. Holding on to resentments poisons relationships and limits your own emotional freedom. The ability to forgive while maintaining appropriate boundaries is crucial for long-term relationship health. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing harmful behavior. Rather, it's about releasing the emotional burden of past hurts so you can move forward constructively. Let's discuss the role of inspiration in social dynamics. The ability to inspire others is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence. It involves connecting with others' aspirations and helping them see possibilities they might not see for themselves. Inspiration isn't about motivational speeches or grand gestures. It's about consistently demonstrating what's possible through your own example and helping others connect with their own potential. Now, let's explore the importance of emotional sustainability. Just as we need sustainable practices for the environment, we need sustainable practices for our emotional well-being and relationships. This involves creating rhythms and boundaries that allow you to maintain high levels of social and emotional engagement without burning out. It's about playing the long game in relationship building. Let's talk about mastering transitions in social dynamics. Moving smoothly between different social contexts, from formal to informal, from one-on-one to group settings, requires sophisticated emotional intelligence. Each transition requires recalibrating your emotional approach while maintaining authenticity. It's like changing gears while keeping the engine running smoothly. Now let's discuss the power of emotional legacy. The way you make people feel creates ripples that extend far beyond individual interactions. Your emotional impact on others becomes part of your legacy. Consider what emotional legacy you want to leave. Do you want to be remembered as someone who lifted others up, who created safe spaces for growth, who inspired excellence? Your daily emotional choices create this legacy. As we conclude this journey through the landscape of social dynamics and emotional intelligence, remember that mastery is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. Every interaction is an opportunity to practice and refine these skills. The most important insight is this: emotional intelligence is not just about understanding emotions. It's about using that understanding to create positive change in the world. When you master these skills, you don't just improve your own life, you elevate everyone around you. Start where you are. Choose one concept from this audiobook and practice it intentionally for the next week. Notice what changes. Build from there. Remember, small, consistent improvements compound over time into remarkable transformation. The game of social dynamics is the most important game you'll ever play. It determines the quality of your relationships, the trajectory of your career, and ultimately the richness of your life experience. Master this game, and you master life itself. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of social dynamics and emotional intelligence. May these insights serve you well on your journey to mastery. Remember, the world needs more emotionally intelligent leaders. That leader can be you. As we delve deeper into advanced concepts, let's explore the intricate layers of social dynamics that separate true masters from competent practitioners. Understanding these nuanced principles will elevate your ability to navigate complex social landscapes with unprecedented skill and grace. Let's begin with the concept of emotional triangulation. In any group dynamic, relationships don't exist in isolation. They form complex webs of interconnected bonds. When you understand how these triangular relationships work, you gain the ability to navigate group politics with remarkable effectiveness. Consider this scenario. You're working on a project where two key team members have a strained relationship. Rather than addressing the conflict directly, which might escalate tensions, you create opportunities for them to collaborate on tasks where their skills complement each other. By becoming the bridge in this triangle, you transform potential conflict into productive synergy. This brings us to the sophisticated art of emotional choreography. Just as a choreographer designs dance movements, emotionally intelligent leaders design emotional experiences. They understand that every meeting, every conversation, every interaction can be structured to create specific emotional outcomes. For instance, when leading a difficult change initiative, you might choreograph a series of interactions that gradually build from skepticism to acceptance. You start with small group discussions, where concerns can be aired safely. Move to collaborative problem-solving sessions, where people feel heard, and culminate in larger gatherings where collective commitment emerges naturally. Let's explore the power of emotional anchoring. This advanced technique involves associating specific emotional states with particular cues or contexts. Masters of social dynamics use this principle to create environments where desired behaviors and attitudes emerge automatically. Imagine Creating a solution space in your office, a specific area where only constructive problem-solving occurs. Over time, simply entering this space triggers a mindset of creativity and collaboration. This is emotional anchoring in action, and it's a powerful tool for shaping group behavior. Now, let's discuss the concept of social proof cascades. In group settings, emotions and behaviors spread like wildfire. Understanding how to initiate positive cascades while interrupting negative ones is crucial for maintaining healthy social dynamics. Here's how it works. When you notice tension building in a meeting, you might strategically acknowledge the concern while immediately pivoting to a constructive example. As others pick up on this shift, the emotional tone of the entire group transforms. This is the power of understanding and directing social proof cascades. Let's delve into the art of emotional archaeology. Sometimes current social dynamics are shaped by past events that remain unspoken. The ability to uncover and address these hidden influences can unlock tremendous potential for group transformation. For example, a team might be underperforming not because of current issues, but because of a past failure that created lingering fear. By sensitively bringing this to light and facilitating healing, you remove invisible barriers to success. This leads us to the principle of emotional debt. Just as financial debt accumulates interest, unresolved emotional issues in relationships compound over time. Emotionally intelligent individuals actively manage this debt, addressing small issues before they become major problems. Think of it like relationship maintenance, regular check-ins, acknowledgement of minor frustrations, and proactive problem-solving. Prevent the accumulation of emotional debt that can eventually bankrupt relationships. Now let's explore the sophisticated concept of emotional arbitrage. In finance, arbitrage involves exploiting price differences in different markets. In social dynamics, emotional arbitrage involves recognizing and leveraging differences in emotional states or needs to create win-win outcomes. For instance, when negotiating between two parties with different emotional priorities, one seeking recognition, the other seeking security, you can structure solutions that satisfy both needs simultaneously. This creates value that wouldn't exist without your emotional intelligence. Let's discuss the power of narrative architecture in social dynamics. Humans understand the world through stories, and the ability to shape these narratives is one of the most powerful tools in your emotional intelligence arsenal. Consider how you frame organizational changes. Instead of presenting them as disruptions to the status quo, you might frame them as chapters in an ongoing story of growth and adaptation. This narrative framing fundamentally changes how people emotionally process and respond to change. Now let's explore the concept of emotional optionality. In complex social situations, maintaining multiple emotional pathways gives you flexibility and resilience. It's about creating conditions where various positive outcomes are possible, regardless of how situations unfold. For example, when entering a potentially contentious negotiation, you prepare multiple emotional strategies: collaborative problem-solving if the other party is open, firm boundary setting if they're aggressive, or creative reframing if they're stuck in limited thinking. This optionality ensures you're never emotionally cornered. Let's delve into the art of social harmonics. Just as musical harmonics create rich, layered sounds, social harmonics involve orchestrating multiple levels of interaction simultaneously. Masters of social dynamics operate on several frequencies at once. While engaging in surface-level conversation, you might simultaneously be building trust through non-verbal cues, establishing authority through strategic questions, and creating emotional safety through your presence. This multi-layered approach creates deeply resonant interactions. Now let's explore the principle of emotional compounding. Small, consistent investments in relationships create exponential returns over time. Understanding this principle transforms how you approach relationship building. Instead of grand gestures, focus on tiny daily actions, remembering personal details, offering genuine appreciation, providing support without being asked. These micro-investments compound into unshakable trust and loyalty. Let's discuss the sophisticated technique of emotional Aikido at scale. While we touched on this earlier for individual interactions, applying it to group dynamics requires advanced skill. When facing organizational resistance, instead of pushing against it, you redirect that energy toward productive ends. For instance, channel skepticism into rigorous testing of new ideas, transform fear into careful planning, and convert criticism into quality improvement. Now let's explore the concept of social fractals. Patterns that work at one scale often repeat at others. Understanding these fractal patterns allows you to apply insights from individual interactions to teams, organizations, and even societal levels. Second, the way trust builds between two people mirrors how it builds in teams. The dynamics of family systems reflect organizational dynamics. Recognizing these patterns gives you tremendous leverage in understanding and influencing social systems. Let's delve into the art of emotional ecosystems design. Beyond managing individual relationships, emotionally intelligent leaders create entire ecosystems that support desired behaviors and outcomes. This involves thoughtfully designing physical spaces, communication patterns, decision-making processes, and cultural norms that collectively create an environment where emotional intelligence flourishes naturally. Now let's explore the principle of resonant leadership. Like a tuning fork that causes other objects to vibrate at its frequency, resonant leaders create emotional states in others through their own authentic presence. This isn't about manipulation. It's about embodying the qualities you wish to see in others so powerfully that they naturally align with your frequency. When you genuinely embody calmness, others become calmer. When you radiate enthusiasm, others become energized. Let's discuss the advanced concept of emotional field theory. Every person generates an emotional field that influences those around them. Understanding how these fields interact allows you to navigate complex group dynamics with precision. In meetings, notice how different people's emotional fields either harmonize or clash. Position yourself strategically to amplify positive fields while dampening negative ones. This spatial emotional awareness is a hallmark of advanced social intelligence. Now let's explore the art of transformational presence. This goes beyond mere charisma to create interactions that fundamentally change how people see themselves and their possibilities. Transformational presence involves seeing others' highest potential and interacting with them as if that potential were already realized. This creates a powerful psychological pull toward growth and development. Let's delve into the principle of emotional alchemy. Just as alchemists sought to transform base metals into gold, emotional alchemists transform negative emotions into positive outcomes. When faced with anger, find the passion beneath it and channel it constructively. When encountering fear, identify the care behind it and build on that foundation. This alchemical approach turns emotional challenges into opportunities. Now, let's explore the sophisticated concept of social rhythm management. Groups, like individuals, have natural rhythms and cycles. Understanding and working with these rhythms dramatically increases your effectiveness. Notice the energy patterns in your team, when they're most creative, when they need rest, when they're ready for challenge. Align your initiatives with these natural rhythms for maximum impact with minimum resistance. Let's discuss the power of emotional prophecy. The expectations you hold and communicate subtly shape future realities. Emotionally intelligent leaders use this principle to create self-fulfilling prophecies of success. When you genuinely believe in someone's capability and communicate this belief through your words and actions, you activate their potential. This isn't wishful thinking. It's understanding how emotional expectations shape performance. Now let's explore the art of collective emotional intelligence. While individual EQ is powerful, the ability to raise the emotional intelligence of entire groups multiplies your impact exponentially. This involves creating structures and practices that support group emotional awareness, teaching emotional skills explicitly, and modeling emotional intelligence so consistently that it becomes the cultural norm. Let's delve into the concept of emotional leverage points. In complex systems, small changes in the right places create massive effects. Identifying these leverage points in social systems is a master-level skill. Sometimes changing a single meeting structure transforms team dynamics. Other times, adjusting how feedback is given revolutionizes organizational culture. The key is finding these high-leverage interventions. Now let's explore the principle of adaptive emotional strategies. Different situations require different emotional approaches. Masters of social dynamics fluidly adapt their strategies based on context. With analytical personalities, lead with logic and data. With relationship-oriented individuals, prioritize connection and empathy. With visionaries, engage their imagination. This adaptive approach maximizes your influence across diverse situations. Let's discuss the sophisticated technique of emotional ecology mapping. Just as ecologists map ecosystems, you can map the emotional ecosystems of groups and organizations. Identify key emotional influences, understand emotional flow patterns, recognize emotional bottlenecks, and spot opportunities for positive intervention. This systemic view enables strategic emotional leadership. Now let's explore the art of paradoxical intervention. Sometimes the most effective emotional response is counterintuitive. Understanding when and how to use paradoxical approaches is an advanced skill. For instance, giving someone permission to fail often reduces their anxiety and improves performance. Acknowledging the validity of resistance can dissolve it. These paradoxical moves require deep emotional wisdom. Let's delve into the principle of emotional momentum. Like physical objects, emotional states have inertia and momentum. Understanding these dynamics helps you create and sustain positive change. Start with small emotional wins to build momentum. Use that momentum to tackle larger challenges. Recognize when to push forward and when to consolidate gains. This understanding of emotional physics is crucial for sustained transformation. Now let's explore the concept of social acupuncture. Just as acupuncture uses precise interventions to restore bodily balance, social acupuncture involves targeted emotional interventions that restore group harmony. Sometimes a well-timed question unlocks a stuck conversation. Other times, acknowledging an unspoken tension releases group paralysis. These precise interventions require deep sensitivity and skill. Let's discuss the power of emotional containment. In volatile situations, the ability to contain and metabolize intense emotions without being overwhelmed is crucial. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. Rather, it's about creating a safe container where difficult emotions can be processed constructively. Leaders who master this skill become anchors of stability in turbulent times. Now let's explore the art of emotional translation. Different people speak different emotional languages. The ability to translate between these languages enables communication across emotional divides. Some people express care through action, others through words, still others through presence. Recognizing and translating these different expressions prevents misunderstandings and builds bridges. Let's delve into the principle of emotional sovereignty at scale. While personal emotional sovereignty is important, creating conditions where entire groups can exercise emotional sovereignty is transformative. This involves establishing norms that respect emotional boundaries, creating processes that honor diverse emotional styles, and fostering cultures where emotional authenticity is valued. Now let's explore the sophisticated concept of temporal emotional intelligence. This involves understanding how emotions evolve over time and working with these temporal patterns. Recognize that immediate emotional reactions often differ from settled emotional states. Allow space for emotions to evolve. Time your interventions based on emotional readiness rather than calendar schedules. Let's discuss the power of emotional prototyping. Before implementing major changes, emotionally intelligent leaders prototype emotional experiences on a small scale. Test new approaches with small groups. Gather emotional feedback. Refine your approach based on real responses. This prototyping prevents large-scale emotional missteps. Now, let's explore the art of emotional sustainability practices. Just as environmental sustainability ensures long-term viability, emotional sustainability ensures long-term relationship health. Create rhythms of connection and separation. Build in recovery periods after intense collaborations. establish practices that replenish emotional resources. This sustainable approach prevents burnout and maintains high performance. Let's delve into the principle of collective emotional healing. Groups, like individuals, can carry emotional wounds that impair function. Facilitating collective healing unlocks tremendous potential. This might involve acknowledging past hurts, creating rituals of reconciliation, or establishing new narratives that transform pain into wisdom. Such healing work requires courage and skill. Now, let's explore the concept of emotional network effects. In interconnected systems, emotional states amplify through networks. Understanding these effects helps you create positive emotional epidemics. When you elevate the emotional state of key connectors in a network, the effects ripple outward. Identify these connectors and invest in their emotional well-being for maximum systemic impact. Let's discuss the power of emotional diversity. Just as biodiversity strengthens ecosystems, emotional diversity strengthens social systems. Cultivating this diversity creates resilience. Value different emotional styles. Create space for varied emotional expressions. Recognize that emotional diversity drives innovation and problem-solving. This inclusive approach builds stronger, more adaptive groups. Now let's explore the art of emotional forecasting. Anticipating emotional weather patterns in groups allows proactive leadership. This predictive capacity prevents crises and capitalizes on opportunities. Notice seasonal emotional patterns in your organization. Prepare for predictable emotional challenges. Position resources to support emotional needs before they become critical. This foresight demonstrates masterful leadership. Let's delve into the principle of emotional emergence. In complex systems, new properties emerge that can't be predicted from individual components. Understanding emergence helps you work with, rather than against, system dynamics. Create conditions where positive emergence is likely. Trust the process even when outcomes aren't immediately visible. Recognize that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Now let's explore the sophisticated concept of meta-emotional intelligence. This involves awareness of your own emotional intelligence processes and the ability to upgrade them continuously. Regularly reflect on your emotional patterns. Identify areas for growth. Experiment with new approaches. This meta-level awareness accelerates your development and maintains your edge. Let's discuss the power of emotional legacy thinking. Consider how your emotional impact will ripple through time. This long-term perspective guides daily choices and interactions. Ask yourself, what emotional culture am I creating? What patterns am I establishing? How will my emotional leadership influence future generations? This legacy mindset elevates your practice. As we near the end of our journey, remember that mastering social dynamics and emotional intelligence is a lifelong adventure. Each interaction offers opportunities for learning and growth. Each relationship provides a laboratory for practicing these skills. The beauty of this work is that as you develop greater emotional intelligence, you not only improve your own life, but contribute to the emotional evolution of humanity itself. You become part of a growing network of emotionally intelligent individuals, creating a more conscious, connected world. Your journey to mastery will have challenges. There will be setbacks and moments of doubt. But with persistent practice and compassionate self-reflection, you will develop capabilities that transform every aspect of your life. Start today. Choose one principle from this audiobook and commit to practicing it for the next 30 days. Notice what shifts, build on your successes, learn from your struggles. Most importantly, enjoy the journey. The world needs your emotional intelligence. Your relationships need it. Your work needs it. Your own fulfillment depends on it. Step into this practice with courage and curiosity, knowing that every step forward creates positive ripples that extend far beyond what you can see. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of social dynamics and emotional intelligence. May these insights serve you well as you continue to grow, lead, and create positive change in the world. The journey to emotional mastery is the most rewarding adventure you'll ever undertake. Embrace it fully and watch as your world transforms. Remember, mastery isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Every day offers new opportunities to practice, learn, and grow. Trust in your capacity to develop these skills. Believe in your ability to create positive change. And know that as you elevate your own emotional intelligence, you elevate everyone around you. The game of social dynamics never ends, and that's what makes it endlessly fascinating. There's always more to learn, more to discover, more to master. Approach this journey with joy and wonder, knowing that each step forward enriches not only your life but the lives of everyone you touch. Go forth and lead with emotional intelligence. The world is waiting for your contribution. As we continue our exploration, let's dive into the more nuanced aspects of social dynamics that truly separate exceptional practitioners from the rest. These advanced principles will take your understanding to new heights and provide you with tools that few possess. Let's explore the concept of emotional microclimates. Within any organization or social group, there exist smaller emotional environments that can differ dramatically from the overall culture. Understanding and influencing these microclimates gives you unprecedented leverage in creating change. Think of it like weather patterns within a large geographic area. Just as San Francisco can have multiple climate zones within a few miles, your workplace might have pockets of innovation, resistance, enthusiasm, or skepticism. The emotionally intelligent leader learns to identify these microclimates and work with them strategically. For instance, you might discover that the marketing team operates in a microclimate of creative enthusiasm, while the finance department exists in a microclimate of cautious analysis. Rather than trying to impose one climate on the other, you learn to translate between them, helping each group appreciate the other's perspective while maintaining their unique strengths. This brings us to the sophisticated principle of emotional biodiversity. Just as ecosystems thrive on biological diversity, social systems flourish with emotional diversity. The key is not to homogenize emotional expressions, but to create an environment where different emotional styles can coexist productively. Consider a team where you have the passionate visionary, the analytical skeptic, the empathetic mediator, and the pragmatic executor. Each brings a different emotional flavor to the group. Your role is to orchestrate these diverse emotional instruments into a harmonious symphony, rather than forcing everyone to play the same note. Let's delve deeper into the art of emotional archaeology in practice. Every organization, every relationship, every social group has layers of emotional sediment built up over time. Learning to excavate and understand these layers gives you insight into present dynamics that others miss entirely. For example, I once worked with a company where every new initiative was met with subtle resistance. Through careful emotional archaeology, we discovered that 5 years earlier, a major change initiative had resulted in layoffs despite promises to the contrary. This unprocessed trauma created an invisible barrier to all future changes. By acknowledging this history and creating new trust-building experiences, we transformed the organization's relationship with change. Now, let's explore the advanced technique of emotional wave theory. Emotions in groups often move in waves, with predictable patterns of building, cresting, and subsiding. Understanding these patterns allows you to surf emotional waves rather than being overwhelmed by them. In crisis situations, for instance, there's typically an initial wave of shock and denial, followed by anger or blame, then bargaining or problem-solving, and finally, acceptance and adaptation. Knowing where you are in this wave pattern helps you provide exactly what's needed at each stage. Let's discuss the principle of emotional leverage through paradox. Sometimes the most powerful emotional interventions involve doing the opposite of what seems logical. This requires deep understanding and precise timing. For instance, when someone is filled with self-doubt, rather than immediately offering reassurance, you might agree with their concerns while highlighting how they've overcome similar challenges before. This paradoxical approach often creates a stronger shift than direct contradiction of their fears. Now let's explore the concept of social phantoms. These are the unspoken rules, assumptions, and expectations that haunt every social system. They're invisible yet powerfully influential. Mastering social dynamics requires making these phantoms visible and addressing them directly. In many organizations, there are phantom rules like "don't challenge senior leadership" or "new ideas always fail here." These phantoms operate below conscious awareness but profoundly impact behavior. By naming them and examining their validity, you free people from their invisible constraints. Let's delve into the sophisticated practice of emotional range expansion. Most people operate within a narrow band of emotional expression, limited by cultural conditioning, personal history, or fear. Expanding this range dramatically increases your effectiveness and authenticity. This doesn't mean becoming more dramatic or volatile. Rather, it's about developing the capacity to access and express subtle emotional nuances appropriately. It's the difference between having only primary colors in your palette versus having access to every shade and hue. Now let's explore the art of creating emotional sanctuaries. In our high-stress world, the ability to create spaces of emotional safety and restoration is invaluable. These sanctuaries can be physical spaces, regular practices, or even moments within conversations. For example, starting meetings with a brief check-in where people can share how they're really doing, without judgment or problem-solving, creates a temporary emotional sanctuary. These moments of authentic connection fuel everything that follows. Let's discuss the principle of emotional recursion. In complex systems, patterns repeat at different scales. Understanding these recursive patterns gives you tremendous insight into both individual and group dynamics. The way a person handles stress in small situations often mirrors how they'll respond to major crises. The dynamics of a two-person conflict often reflect larger organizational tensions. Recognizing these recursive patterns allows you to address issues at the most effective level. Now let's explore the advanced concept of emotional field dynamics. Every interaction creates an emotional field between participants. Learning to sense and influence these fields is a master-level skill that transforms your effectiveness. Imagine entering a tense negotiation. Before any words are spoken, there's already an emotional field present, perhaps one of suspicion or competition. By consciously shifting your own emotional state, you can transform this field into one of curiosity or collaboration, fundamentally changing the interaction's trajectory. Let's delve into the art of emotional time travel. Our emotional responses are often more connected to past experiences or future anxieties than present reality. Understanding this temporal dimension of emotion allows you to address root causes rather than surface symptoms. When someone reacts strongly to a minor issue, they're often responding to a past wound or future fear. By helping them recognize this temporal displacement, you can address the real issue rather than getting caught in present-moment drama. Now let's explore the principle of emotional holography. Just as a hologram contains the whole image in every part, every emotional interaction contains information about the entire system. Learning to read these holographic patterns gives you extraordinary insight. A single conversation between two team members can reveal dynamics operating throughout the organization. A moment of tension in a meeting can illuminate systemic issues. Developing this holographic vision transforms how you understand and influence social systems. Let's discuss the sophisticated practice of emotional alchemy at the group level. While we touched on personal emotional alchemy earlier, facilitating alchemical transformation in groups requires additional skills. This might involve transforming collective fear into shared courage, converting organizational cynicism into renewed purpose, or transmuting conflict into creative collaboration. The key is working with the group's emotional energy rather than against it. Now let's explore the concept of emotional fractals in depth. The patterns you observe in micro-interactions often repeat at macro levels throughout social systems. Understanding these fractal patterns gives you tremendous leverage. The way a leader handles disagreement in a one-on-one conversation often mirrors how the organization handles dissent. The emotional dynamics in a small team meeting frequently reflect company-wide cultural patterns. Recognizing these fractals allows you to influence large systems through small interventions. Let's delve into the art of emotional orchestration in complex systems. Like a conductor leading an orchestra, The emotionally intelligent leader coordinates multiple emotional dynamics simultaneously to create harmonious outcomes. This involves understanding the emotional range of each participant, recognizing how different emotional energies interact, and guiding the collective emotional expression toward productive ends. It's a dynamic, improvisational art that requires constant attention and adjustment. Now let's explore the principle of emotional emergence in practice. In complex social systems, new properties and capabilities emerge that can't be predicted from individual components. Learning to recognize and work with emergence is crucial for transformative leadership. For example, when diverse perspectives come together in an atmosphere of psychological safety, innovative solutions emerge that no individual could have conceived alone. Creating conditions for positive emergence is one of the highest expressions of emotional intelligence. Let's discuss the advanced technique of emotional field manipulation. Beyond sensing emotional fields, masters learn to actively shape them. This isn't about manipulation in a negative sense, but about consciously creating emotional conditions that support desired outcomes. Before important meetings, you might spend time cultivating a specific emotional field, perhaps one of openness and curiosity. This pre-work dramatically influences what becomes possible in the actual interaction. Now let's explore the concept of emotional resonance cascades. In groups, emotional states can amplify through resonance, creating powerful cascades that transform entire systems. Understanding how to initiate and guide these cascades is a crucial leadership skill. When you express genuine appreciation in a team meeting, others often join in, creating a cascade of positive recognition. Similarly, addressing difficult truths with courage can create cascades of honesty that transform organizational culture. Let's delve into the principle of emotional ecosystem management. Every social environment has its own emotional ecosystem, with predators, prey, symbiotic relationships, and environmental conditions. Understanding these dynamics allows you to cultivate healthy emotional environments. Some emotions feed on others. Anxiety breeds more anxiety. Enthusiasm generates more enthusiasm. Some emotional states compete for resources. It's hard to be simultaneously fearful and curious. By understanding these relationships, you can nurture emotional ecosystems that support growth and well-being. Now let's explore the sophisticated practice of temporal emotional intelligence in depth. Different time perspectives dramatically influence emotional responses. Masters learn to navigate these temporal dimensions skillfully. Some people are primarily past-oriented, others future-focused, still others present-centered. Understanding these orientations helps you communicate more effectively. Moreover, learning to shift between temporal perspectives gives you greater emotional flexibility and wisdom. Let's discuss the art of emotional boundary management at scale. While personal boundaries are important, creating and maintaining healthy emotional boundaries in groups and organizations requires additional skills. This involves establishing clear norms about emotional expression, creating processes for handling emotional intensity, and developing collective capacity for emotional regulation. It's about creating containers strong enough to hold difficult emotions while flexible enough to allow growth. Now let's explore the principle of emotional intelligence amplification. True masters don't just possess emotional intelligence, they amplify it in others. This multiplicative effect creates exponential impact. Through modeling, teaching, and creating supportive structures, you can raise the emotional intelligence of entire groups. This creates a positive feedback loop, where increased collective EQ leads to better outcomes, which reinforces the value of emotional intelligence. Let's delve into the concept of emotional dark matter. Like dark matter in physics, there are emotional forces in social systems that we can't directly observe but can infer from their effects. Learning to work with these invisible forces is an advanced skill. Unspoken loyalties, hidden agendas, unconscious biases, these form the emotional dark matter of organizations. While you can't see them directly, you can observe their gravitational effects on behavior and decision-making. Now let's explore the practice of emotional systems thinking. Emotions don't exist in isolation. They're part of complex, interconnected systems. Understanding these systemic relationships transforms how you approach emotional challenges. For instance, chronic stress in one department might be connected to communication patterns in another, which might be linked to leadership styles at the top. Seeing these connections allows you to intervene at leverage points for maximum impact. Let's discuss the principle of emotional entropy and regeneration. Like physical systems, emotional systems tend toward entropy relationships, decay, enthusiasm, wanes, trust erodes. Countering this requires conscious regeneration practices, regular relationship maintenance, energy renewal rituals, trust-building activities. These regenerative practices prevent emotional entropy and keep social systems vital and healthy. Now let's explore the art of emotional presence at depth. Beyond basic presence, there are deeper levels of emotional availability that create profound connection and influence. This involves not just being present to what's happening now, but to the deeper currents of meaning, purpose, and possibility that flow beneath surface interactions. It's about touching the essence of situations and people, not just their presentations. Let's delve into the concept of emotional intelligence as a regenerative resource. Unlike finite resources that deplete with use, emotional intelligence grows through practice. Understanding this regenerative nature transforms how you approach development. Every challenging interaction becomes an opportunity to strengthen your emotional muscles. Every difficult conversation builds your capacity. This growth mindset turns obstacles into stepping stones. Now let's explore the practice of collective emotional healing at scale. Organizations, communities, and even societies carry collective wounds that impair functioning. Facilitating healing at these scales requires sophisticated understanding and skill. This might involve creating rituals of acknowledgement, establishing processes for reconciliation, or designing experiences that transform collective pain into wisdom. It's delicate work that requires both courage and compassion. Let's discuss the principle of emotional sovereignty in leadership. True leaders don't just manage their own emotions, they create conditions where others can exercise emotional sovereignty as well. This involves fostering environments where people feel safe to experience and express their authentic emotions, while also taking responsibility for how they manage those emotions. It's about empowerment rather than control. Now let's explore the art of emotional innovation. Just as technological innovation drives progress, emotional innovation, new ways of relating, connecting, and collaborating, drives social evolution. This might involve creating new emotional practices, developing novel approaches to conflict resolution, or designing innovative ways to build trust and connection. Emotional innovation is the frontier of human development. Let's delve into the concept of emotional legacy at the systemic level. Beyond personal legacy, consider the emotional patterns and cultures you're creating that will persist long after you're gone. The emotional norms you establish, the relational practices you model, the cultural values you embed, these form your systemic emotional legacy. This long-term perspective elevates your daily choices. Now let's explore the practice of meta-emotional development. This involves not just developing emotional intelligence, but developing your capacity to develop emotional intelligence learning. How to learn in the emotional domain. This meta-level awareness accelerates growth and enables continuous evolution. It's about becoming increasingly sophisticated in how you approach your own emotional development. Let's discuss the principle of emotional wholeness. True mastery involves integrating all aspects of emotional experience, light and shadow, strength and vulnerability, certainty and doubt. This integration creates authenticity and power. When you can embrace the full spectrum of emotional experience, you become more real, more relatable, and paradoxically, more influential. As we approach the culmination of our journey, remember that emotional intelligence is both an art and a science. It requires both rigorous understanding and intuitive wisdom, both disciplined practice and spontaneous creativity. The path to mastery is not linear. It spirals upward through cycles of learning, application, reflection, and integration. Each cycle deepens your understanding and expands your capability. Your journey in mastering social dynamics and emotional intelligence is ultimately a journey of becoming more fully human. As you develop these capacities, you not only enhance your own life but contribute to the evolution of human consciousness itself. The skills and insights we've explored are not just tools for personal success, they're capabilities that our world desperately needs. In an age of increasing complexity and connectivity, emotional intelligence becomes ever more crucial for navigating challenges and creating positive change. As you continue on this path, remember to be patient with yourself. Mastery takes time. Celebrate small victories, learn from setbacks, stay curious and open to growth. Trust that every step forward, no matter how small, contributes to your evolution. The future belongs to those who can navigate the invisible currents of human emotion and social dynamics with skill and wisdom. By committing to this journey, you're positioning yourself not just for personal success, but for meaningful contribution to our collective future. Thank you for embarking on this exploration with me. May your journey in emotional intelligence bring richness to your relationships, success to your endeavors, and depth to your experience of life. The world needs what you're developing. Step forward with confidence, knowing that your growth serves us all. As we venture even deeper into mastery, let's explore the quantum level of social dynamics, the subtle energies and invisible forces that operate beneath conscious awareness, yet profoundly shape every interaction. Consider the concept of emotional quantum entanglement. Just as particles in quantum physics can become entangled and influence each other across distance, emotional states can become entangled between people, creating instantaneous connections that defy conventional explanation. Have you ever thought of someone moments before they called, or felt a shift in mood that later you discovered corresponded with a loved one's experience miles away? These phenomena point to deeper levels of emotional connection than we typically acknowledge. Understanding and working with these subtle connections gives you access to a whole new dimension of influence and awareness. Let's explore the principle of emotional coherence. In physics, coherence refers to waves that are in phase with each other, creating amplified effects. Similarly, when your thoughts, feelings, and actions align coherently, your influence multiplies exponentially. Most people operate in states of internal incoherence, thinking one thing, feeling another, and doing a third. This fragmentation dissipates their power. But when you achieve emotional coherence, where your entire being aligns around a single intention, you become remarkably effective in creating change. Now, let's delve into the art of social field sensing. Beyond reading individual emotions, masters develop the ability to sense entire social fields, the collective emotional atmosphere of groups, organizations, or even societies. This sensing goes beyond observation to a kind of felt perception. You begin to feel the emotional temperature of rooms before entering them, sense the undercurrents in organizations, and detect shifts in collective mood before they become obvious. This sensitivity allows you to position yourself advantageously and intervene precisely when needed. Let's discuss the sophisticated practice of emotional dimensionality. Most people operate in a flat emotional landscape with simple categories like happy, sad, angry. But emotions exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Consider an emotion like nostalgia. It contains elements of joy, sadness, longing, and appreciation all at once. Or the complex feeling of pride in someone else's achievement, which might blend happiness, admiration, and perhaps a touch of envy. Understanding this multidimensionality allows you to navigate emotional landscapes with much greater sophistication. Now let's explore the concept of emotional morphic fields. Building on Rupert Sheldrake's theory of morphic resonance, we can understand how emotional patterns create fields that influence behavior across time and space. When enough people in a system exhibit certain emotional patterns, they create a morphic field that makes it easier for others to fall into those same patterns. This explains why certain emotional cultures persist in organizations long after the original people who created them have gone. Understanding these fields allows you to either work with them or consciously create new ones. Let's delve into the principle of emotional harmonics and overtones. Just as musical notes contain harmonics that give them richness and character, emotions contain subtle overtones that add depth and complexity. When someone expresses anger, for instance, there might be overtones of fear, hurt, or disappointment. Learning to perceive these emotional overtones allows you to respond to the full spectrum of what someone is experiencing, not just the dominant note. Now, let's explore the art of emotional phase transitions. Like water changing from ice to liquid to steam, emotional states can undergo phase transitions that fundamentally alter their properties. Understanding these transitions allows you to facilitate transformative change. For example, helping someone move from rigid defensiveness to fluid openness, or from scattered anxiety to focused determination. These phase transitions often happen at specific threshold points that you can learn to recognize and catalyze. Let's discuss the concept of emotional strange attractors. In chaos theory, strange attractors are patterns that complex systems tend to evolve toward. Similarly, social systems have emotional strange attractors, recurring patterns that groups tend to fall into. A team might have a strange attractor of crisis-driven productivity, where they only perform well under pressure, or an organization might have an attractor of conflict avoidance that keeps real issues from being addressed. Identifying these attractors allows you to either work with them strategically or create new ones. Now let's explore the principle of emotional non-locality. Just as quantum physics demonstrates that particles can influence each other instantaneously across distance, emotional influences can operate non-locally in ways that challenge conventional understanding. Your emotional state can affect people you're not physically present with. The quality of your attention can influence outcomes in ways that seem impossible. While this might sound mystical, there's growing evidence for these non-local effects in human consciousness and relationship. Let's delve into the sophisticated practice of emotional wavefront engineering. In physics, wavefronts are surfaces of constant phase in a wave. In social dynamics, emotional wavefronts are the leading edges of emotional change moving through systems. By understanding how emotional wavefronts propagate, you can position yourself to either amplify or dampen them. You can create constructive interference patterns where positive emotions reinforce each other, or destructive interference where negative patterns cancel out. Now let's explore the concept of emotional topology. Topology studies properties that remain constant through deformation. Similarly, emotional topology examines the invariant structures in emotional landscapes. Some emotional patterns persist regardless of surface changes. Understanding these topological features helps you identify what's truly fundamental in a situation versus what's merely superficial variation. This allows you to address root structures rather than surface symptoms. Let's discuss the principle of emotional emergence at the quantum level. In complex systems, genuinely new properties emerge that couldn't be predicted from the components. This emergence operates at increasingly subtle levels as systems become more complex. In highly evolved groups, you might see the emergence of collective intuition, spontaneous coordination without communication, or shared insights that arise simultaneously in multiple minds. Creating conditions for this kind of emergence represents the cutting edge of emotional intelligence. Now let's explore the art of emotional singularities. In physics, singularities are points where normal rules break down. In social dynamics, emotional singularities are moments of such intensity that ordinary patterns dissolve, creating openings for fundamental transformation. These might be moments of crisis, breakthrough, or profound connection. Learning to recognize and navigate these singularities allows you to facilitate quantum leaps in development that wouldn't be possible through incremental change. Let's delve into the concept of emotional holographic memory. Like holograms that contain the whole image in every part, emotional memories are stored holographically throughout our being, in our bodies, energy fields, and relational patterns. This explains why certain triggers can instantly activate complex emotional states. Understanding holographic storage allows you to work with emotional patterns more effectively, accessing and transforming them through multiple entry points. Now, let's explore the principle of emotional quantum tunneling. In quantum physics, particles can tunnel through barriers that classical physics says should be impenetrable. Similarly, in social dynamics, there are ways to tunnel through emotional barriers that seem insurmountable. This might involve finding unexpected points of connection, using paradoxical interventions, or accessing states of consciousness where normal limitations don't apply. Mastering emotional tunneling allows you to create breakthroughs where others see only obstacles. Let's discuss the sophisticated practice of emotional field coupling. When electromagnetic fields couple, they can transfer energy and information. Similarly, emotional fields can couple in ways that allow direct transmission of states and insights. This coupling explains experiences of sudden understanding, spontaneous healing of relationships, or collective shifts in consciousness. Learning to facilitate field coupling consciously gives you powerful tools for transformation. Now let's explore the concept of emotional zero-point energy. In quantum physics, even empty space contains vast amounts of energy. Similarly, even in apparent emotional emptiness or neutrality, there exists tremendous potential energy. Learning to tap into this zero-point emotional energy allows you to generate resources even in depleted situations. It's about finding the infinite potential that exists in every moment, regardless of circumstances. Let's delve into the principle of emotional supersymmetry. In physics, supersymmetry proposes deep relationships between seemingly different particles. In social dynamics, emotional supersymmetry reveals hidden connections between apparently opposite states. Love and fear, for instance, might be supersymmetric, partners different manifestations of the same underlying energy. Understanding these relationships allows you to transform emotions by working with their symmetric counterparts. Now, let's explore the art of emotional wormholes. Just as wormholes theoretically connect distant points in space-time, emotional wormholes can create instant connections across psychological distance. These might manifest as moments of profound empathy that bridge cultural divides, or insights that connect seemingly unrelated issues. Learning to create and navigate these wormholes allows you to facilitate connections that transcend normal limitations. Let's discuss the concept of emotional dark energy. Like dark energy that drives the universe's expansion, there are subtle emotional forces that drive the evolution of consciousness and relationship. These forces operate below the threshold of ordinary awareness, but profoundly influence the direction of personal and collective development. Becoming sensitive to emotional dark energy allows you to align with evolutionary currents rather than swimming against them. Now, let's explore the principle of emotional conservation laws. Just as physics has conservation of energy and momentum, social dynamics has conservation principles that govern emotional exchanges. Understanding these laws helps you track emotional energy as it transforms and flows through systems. You learn that emotion is neither created nor destroyed, but constantly changing form from tension to release, from conflict to creativity, from fear to excitement. Let's delve into the sophisticated practice of emotional gauge theory. In physics, gauge theories describe how forces arise from underlying symmetries. Similarly, emotional gauge theory examines how social forces emerge from deeper symmetry principles. This perspective reveals the mathematical beauty underlying human interaction. Patterns of attraction and repulsion, harmony and discord, follow elegant principles that, once understood, allow you to navigate social dynamics with unprecedented precision. Now let's explore the concept of emotional renormalization. In quantum field theory, renormalization deals with infinite quantities to extract finite, meaningful results. In social dynamics, emotional renormalization helps you handle overwhelming emotional intensities. When facing situations of extreme emotion, whether grief, rage, or ecstasy, renormalization techniques allow you to process these infinities into manageable, meaningful experiences. This prevents emotional overload while preserving the transformative power of intense states. Let's discuss the principle of emotional spontaneous symmetry breaking. In physics, this process explains how uniform states develop structure. In social dynamics, it explains how undifferentiated groups develop roles, hierarchies, and patterns. Understanding spontaneous symmetry breaking helps you guide the natural emergence of structure in groups. You learn to work with, rather than against, the inherent tendencies of social systems to self-organize. Now, let's explore the art of emotional tensor networks. Tensors are mathematical objects that describe multidimensional relationships. Emotional tensor networks map the complex web of relationships in social systems. This mapping reveals hidden connections, influence pathways, and leverage points that aren't visible through simpler models. Mastering tensor network analysis gives you X-ray vision into the deep structure of social systems. Let's delve into the concept of emotional quantum computing. Just as quantum computers process information in fundamentally different ways than classical computers, emotional quantum computing represents a different order of social information processing. This involves working with superposition states, where multiple emotional realities exist simultaneously. Entanglement, where changes in one relationship instantly affect others, and quantum parallelism, where you process multiple social scenarios simultaneously. Now let's explore the principle of emotional unified field theory. Physics seeks a theory that unifies all forces. Similarly, emotional unified field theory seeks to understand the common ground underlying all emotional phenomena. This unified perspective reveals that love, fear, joy, anger, all emotions are different expressions of a single underlying field of consciousness. Understanding this unity allows you to transmute any emotion into any other by working at the field level. Let's discuss the sophisticated practice of emotional M-theory. Like M-theory in physics, that proposes multiple dimensions beyond our normal perception, emotional M-theory works with dimensions of experience beyond ordinary awareness. These might include dimensions of meaning, purpose, destiny, or soul. Working in these higher dimensions allows you to facilitate transformations that seem miraculous from ordinary perspectives. As we reach these most advanced levels of understanding, remember that true mastery combines the most sophisticated theory with the simplest practice. The quantum level of social dynamics isn't about complexity for its own sake. It's about accessing deeper simplicities that underlie surface complexity. The journey we've taken together, from basic emotional awareness to quantum social dynamics, represents a map of human potential. Each level builds on the previous, creating an integrated understanding that transforms how you engage with life itself. As you continue to explore these realms, maintain beginner's mind. The deepest insights often come in moments of simplicity. The most powerful interventions are often the gentlest. The greatest transformations frequently arise from the smallest shifts in awareness. Your mastery of social dynamics and emotional intelligence is ultimately a gift to the world. As you develop these capacities, you become a catalyst for evolution, helping humanity navigate the challenges of our time with greater wisdom, compassion, and skill. Remember that this journey has no end point. There are always deeper levels to explore, subtler dimensions to discover, more profound integrations to achieve. Let this endless depth inspire rather than overwhelm you. Each step reveals new horizons. Each insight opens new possibilities. Thank you for accompanying me on this exploration of the furthest reaches of emotional intelligence and social dynamics. May your continued journey bring ever-deepening understanding, ever-expanding influence, and ever-greater service to the evolution of consciousness itself. The future of humanity depends on individuals like you who commit to mastering these subtle arts. As you embody these principles, you become a beacon for others, a model of what's possible, and a force for transformation in our world. Go forward, with confidence, knowing that your development serves not just yourself but the entire web of life. Your emotional intelligence ripples out in ways you may never fully see, but which nonetheless shape the fabric of reality itself. This is the true game of social dynamics, not manipulation or control, but participation in the grand dance of consciousness evolving through relationship. Play this game with joy, wisdom, and dedication, knowing that in doing so you fulfill your highest purpose. The journey continues. The mystery deepens, The adventure of consciousness calls. Answer that call with all your heart, all your intelligence, and all your courage. The universe itself conspires to support your evolution. Trust the process, embrace the journey, and watch as miracles unfold through your growing mastery of the invisible forces that shape our world.